Love, respect, consent, operation. That's all we need to build a strong nation. We are the people to make the changes. We are the changes to build a. And all the things that will feel happen like I got blue skies. I love to make people get victimized. Let's work together for better. We got to unite. Belize, yeah. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Another day is here. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. We got to keep moving. Na 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 na. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Everybody got to put the time in. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Voice our opinion and place your calling. WB. Get up, make every day count. Don't waste it, people. Do your part, play a role, get where you need to. You can tune in for work or in your vehicle. If you got a problem, pick up the phone. Why wait till the time? Call in, it's a show. It no matter even if you're at home. Just call in. WB. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Another day is here. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. We got to keep moving. Na 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 na. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Everybody got to put the time in. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Voice our opinion and place your calling. WB. Be yourself, see yourself. This is a show, my people. Belize our hope, so to needless reason. Your body feel left out is the vibe we're dealing. Let's find a solution. Yeah. Love, respect, consent, business and cooperation. That's all we need to build a strong nation. We are the people to make the changes. We are the changes. WB. And all the things that will feel happen like I got blue skies. I love to make people get victimized. Let's work together for better. We got to unite. Belize, yeah. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Another day is here. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. We got to keep moving. Na 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 na. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Everybody got to put the time in. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Voice our opinion and place your calling. WB.
Good morning, Belize. Welcome to the WB Belize Morning Vibes for today, Wednesday, the 23rd of October, 2024. And wherever you are, we hope that your morning is getting off to a beautiful start. And we're glad you've decided to have us be a part of your early day routine. You're, of course, listening to Creme Radio. It is you're watching XTV. Some of you might be joining us via our apps or via our social media streams. Or it is you're getting us via simulcast coverage. It's great. Either way, we want to welcome you to our house. And we trust that as your day gets started, that you are lifted up in great health. Your energy is through the sky and that your vibrations are positive. But selfishly, of course, we love when you got space. We love when you got maneuverability. When your schedule could fit we in, that's a beautiful thing. We expect that you will be spending quality time with us. Now, we know you know how this works, right? That we don't just jump right into our main purpose. We kind of, warm up things properly. So we've got a little bit of news for you that comes from our news team. But we lead off with a look at what we can expect when it comes to the weather. We got a weather forecast. It comes from the National Meteorological Service. Yes, it's Wednesday morning. Lift yourself up. This is Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes, Belize's premier morning conversation. And we start with the forecast. And forecaster Francisco Willington serves it up.
Northeasterly airflow prevails and will support sunny skies with cloudy spells today and partly cloudy skies tonight. A few showers will develop along coastal areas today and over northern areas tonight. Showers will be isolated elsewhere. Showers will continue isolated Thursday, except for inland areas in the afternoon, where a few more will develop. Winds today along the coast and over the open seas will blow from the north and northeast at 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be choppy. Low tides will occur at 9:35 this morning and 8:02 tonight. High tides follow at 3:59 this evening and 2:37 tomorrow morning. Temperatures this afternoon will peak at 78 Fahrenheit up in the Maya Mountains, 84 along the coast, and 90 inland. The moon will set at 12:04 this afternoon, and the sun will set at 5:25 this evening. In the sarcasm forecast, sarcasm impacts are expected to remain minimal for the next 2 weeks. In the tropical weather outlook, tropical cyclone formation is not expected in the North Atlantic, Caribbean Sea, or Gulf of Mexico during the next 48 hours. And that's the latest from the Belize Weather Bureau. Do have a pleasant day.
The first private Belize since 1989. Creme FM presents the news. Informative, accurate, current information, local, regional, and international news, weather and sports. And now, the news.
Making news this morning, a woman from Faber's Wood was shot in Belize City Tuesday night at around 8:40. 80-year-old Mary Flowers was leaving the home of her child's father on Santa Barbara Street when she heard two loud bangs and realized she had been shot to the neck. She was rushed to the KHMH for treatment. Reports are that police detained one person from the same vicinity for questioning. After conducting her first tour of schools countrywide, National President of the Belize National Teachers Union, Nadia Martin Callis, decried the state of some facilities. She spoke about it at the beginning of October while addressing another matter, and yesterday when we caught up with her at an event, she told us she will take it upon herself to tackle the issue.
There's an issue that bothers me a lot, though, the working conditions of our teachers within those classrooms. Rat bats, termites and all that, broken windows, water, no portable water, or water that is not safe to drink. Our teachers, some of our teachers are working under some horrible conditions. So that's the next area that we'll be tackling, sitting with management and seeing how we can partner. Because again, my leadership is about partnership. It's not about you attacking me and me attacking you, but let's look at what the problem is and how we can solve it. Over the years, the BNTU has been what you call a force to reckon with. We're still a force to reckon with, but we now realize it's important for us to dialogue. In 2024, we need to dialogue. We made attempts to dialogue in the past, and I can tell you from my experience, we were not treated with respect. And so you found us on the street multiple times. Today, up to this point, we are treated with far more respect, and we appreciate that. And I'm happy that today Chief Gongora is out there so the teachers can touch base with her directly. That's a very bold move and I said to them, guys, we need to change education. The union is here to ensure that we change education, that we provide a solution to the challenges. And there are a lot. There are a lot. So this is happening countrywide. Yes.
How significant, though, must be the capital injection? And I imagine that's going to require assistance from the government to get those classrooms upgraded.
To be quite honest with you, let me say this. Managements have the responsibility, the legal responsibility for those schools to ensure that they provide resources that the teachers need and to fix the infrastructure. What some managements have done over the years is that they have passed that responsibility on to the teachers, and that has created a lot of stress. And some are still not living up to their obligations. So from the BNTU end, we don't have the monies, but our discussion when we meet is for us to look at the schools, their needs, and so we can partner. So if partnership means government coming on board to assist with that, then fine. If partnership means getting a business to adopt a particular school, we're willing to do that. We're willing to work with them. But we can no longer have teachers in 2024 working under conditions that I can relate to back in 93 when I started teaching. And we can no longer have some of our managements ignoring their responsibilities. And if they're having a hard time, then let us know. Let's see if we can work together and get it done.
After the Belize National Teachers Union held a press conference to notify that over 130 teachers had not been paid in September, some of them for up to 5 months, the Ministry of Education issued a statement providing an update that all cases were being addressed. It also pointed out, though, that the BNTU had only forwarded a list of 99 teachers affected and that there were some duplicates and a few who had already been paid. We asked the BNTU president to provide an update.
For the BNTU, it's not about numbers. It's about the fact that teachers worked and were not paid, and we wanted them to be paid. If the ministry wants to take that angle, we are not going to entertain it, but we stand by our 130. We went back through our listing, and there were indeed 3 persons who were paid because we brought over 3 that had increment issues, and it was attached to our listing. So we stand by our numbers, plus 122 teachers being paid. We said 130 teachers plus not being paid. And we were not saying that, the point is we don't want to get caught up in numbers, because then that will take away from the key issue, which is teachers working and not being paid. And this has been the trend. I heard the minister's response when it comes to the modernization of the system. We welcome that. But that is not a valid reason for teachers over the years not being paid. The Constitution is clear. You work, you should be paid. So they need to look at what is in place. And I have to commend them, though, on looking at what is in place to ensure that the teachers right now who are still waiting are paid by October. And we too, we are watching that. We are watching that.
Okay, so they've said that everyone had responsibility. Teachers, management, BNTU, in getting the submission of all documentation, and I know there is an element of that, but what about the aspect of needing the system to be modernized? And the minister said, well, because we're doing that and digitizing everything and inputting all the data, there were some hiccups.
One thing I will tell you, this BNTU will do its research. What needed to happen after we had the agreement with them that teachers will not be removed from the system? Somebody failed to provide the Treasury Department with that information. And so Treasury did not know, so they went with the old system. That's what basically happened. Now, after we discovered what really happened, I said to the CEO, Mayor, that somebody gave the union comfort corn. Because after giving us that answer, we loved it, we shared it with membership, but there was no following up. Why? I don't know. I'm not going to accuse them of being vindictive or spiteful. Sometimes you have a lot of work and you cannot get it done, and I understand all of that. But nobody provided that entity with the agreement, and that's what transpired. So we're happy, because I have to emphasize that they realize that and that they're correcting it, because correcting it is paramount. Sometimes we harp onto the negative energy too much. I like to look at the solution, the solution, the solution. So I'm commending them on the solution. Now and I agree with the responsibility aspect. The teacher had a responsibility, if the teacher was asked for documentation, to provide that to the ministry or to the management. The management had a responsibility to send that to the ministry. The ministry had a responsibility to go through the 1,001 files before them to ensure that those persons get paid. So all 3 entities had a responsibility, and all 3 entities messed up.
In the case of increments, the President told us they have agreed on timelines to resolve the non-payment of increments for teachers who were due theirs last year. Also, the new round of increments started this September.
My discussion with the ministry personnel is that we will now focus on everything increment. That has nothing to do with the frozen increments. I want to make that clear. So those who are owed increments from 2015, we found 2016, 2017, the years that were not frozen. A lot of our teachers are not on the right pay scale because of that. We will be addressing that with the ministry. Everything increment between now and December, the latest January. And between January to June, we're looking at the teachers who have to sign contract every year, appointments. The issues are huge. It's a lot. So we're tackling them like 2 at a time so we can solve them. All we ask is for our membership to have a little patience and for the ministry to stand by its commitment.
Leaders from various ethnicities across Belize met yesterday at the Sir Colvin Young building in Belize City to discuss the formation of an Indigenous Peoples Network. There were representation from the Mayas, Garinagos, and Creoles from various parts of the country for varying perspectives. Plus, they want more to join. Cynthia Ellis, one of the organizers, spoke of what the movement is about.
I am the one of the people called to have this gathering today, and this gathering is to present the indigenous voices, the people whose voices that are often not heard, And so the thing is that these people have for long been living on these lands and in these communities, and they have woken up sometimes and seen different projects and programs that are being developed in our space, and we have not been involved in the planning and the implementation of these projects. So we are just presenting ourselves as nature does, plants recommend themselves, and these plants say, here I am to participate in my own development.
Rodney Avila, a youth ambassador, spoke of the work he does and the importance of involving the youths.
Well, basically, it's something beautiful because now people who are behind the scene can be speaking out to the country and to the world because they've been through a lot of stuff behind the scene and no one sees them. So now, like how the indigenous network is formed, now we have a different perspective of watching on different cultures, right? So we can learn from each other and build our culture better than before. And what I do in Toledo is mobilize youths by singing, drumming, and forming, right? So mobilizing them in that form is changing the morale of the youths on the street. They're getting chance, but we can be productive and expand in the village or in the town.
If you would like to join the Indigenous Peoples Network, they can be contacted at 660-7675. That ends the news we've got prepared here for you from our news center upstairs. We'll take ourselves a break at this point in time. When we come back on the other side, we're going to open up for conversation. You know how that works. We want to urge you to stick around. Listen to Crime Radio, watching XTV. I'm Mose Hyde. We'll be right back.
Private radio in Belize since 1989. The news. Informative, accurate, current information, local, regional, and international news, weather and sports.
All right, welcome back. This is WUB Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes. Mose Hyde hosting today. And of course, this is when we open up for conversation. You can call us at 280-5848. That's the live line for you to participate in the conversation. We are scheduled to be joined this morning after the 7:30 break by President of the Public Service Union, Brother Dean Flowers. So that's online to happen this morning. But this first segment, we are free to have a conversation right here. All you need to do is call 280-5848 while you work out your scheduling and get yourself together, because we know you're going to call. We will proceed with the conversation, our half. You have to do your half, okay? This is Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes. Now, this topic I introed here this morning is, I feel, in a kind of a borderline self-interest. Borderline, there are elements that are there's self-interest there, right? Meaning we're gonna bias. So last week, what emerged was, and it's not really been, I've not seen it in any mean, I've not seen it, maybe it has been put out in newscasts, I have not seen it there, but I have seen it on social media, where there's a public notification in the newspaper as an ad or classified or something to that effect, where Starlink has applied to the PUC for permission to operate in Belize. And so what is Starlink? Well, Starlink is an internet service that is operated from space. So it's not coming through cables, right? This is not coming through any under ocean cables. It's not coming through any cables that are attached to poles in the air. This is coming out of space. It's not fiber, it's satellite. And Starlink is a service that is owned by the richest man on planet Earth, and in fact on schedule to very soon become the planet's first ever trillionaire. You could check it, it's right there. He's on schedule to become a trillionaire. Extremely rich guy. He's so rich that every day he's giving away $1 million as a part of for his support for the Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump, giving away $1 million, a jackpot, to people who sign a petition. And that has sent all kind of crazy things going on, whether that is legal. I mean, it's essentially a rich man doing what a rich man does. He uses his money to get an outcome that he wants. He's an extremely rich guy. And he is a Donald Trump fanboy and whatever that goes along with that. He is the owner of Starlink, and Starlink operates. You can go on the website and you can go to Starlink and you can see all the places around the planet Earth where Starlink is basically available. And it's practically almost everywhere, right? And Starlink has been looked upon as an internet service, as something that provides access where you normally can't get access, right? Because it's coming out of space. And so, in fact, I have a friend of mine who's actually because when you buy the Starlink, you buy the actual hardware, which is like a little square, and if you're able to find it for me, Christy, please. It's a square looking thing, like a panel, and it connects to something that looks more like a modem that you attach and you position it. And so I have a friend who has one, and so he's brought it along, and we've kind of experimented to see, if it actually can work in Belize. And you do have places in Belize apparently that are adjacent to the border where it can work. But with Starlink, if you are not where it is allowed and legal, it's not going to work. So you actually get the physical stuff, and then you get a subscription. And subscription is not cheap. And so, as a part of this whole thing of Starlink wanting to operate in Belize space, so obviously that is a concern to the major internet providers in the country, which are Digicel, Digi, and Smart. Because that would, if that is allowed, don't know. The thing about that is that, but of course, if you look at the different packages that you can get with Starlink, you can get Starlink for your vehicle, you can get Starlink for your boat, and Starlink if you're on Half Moon Key, you can have internet. If you're in Mountain Pine Ridge, you can have internet. If you're in the middle of the Coxcomb Basin, you can get internet. If you're in the middle of Chicky Bull, you can get internet. If you're out in the Sapadilla Keys, you can get internet, because that's, again, like I said, it really and truly, if you are to think of its competitive advantage, is its ability to provide internet in remote areas. So like for resorts that are on islands and are tucked away somewhere in the forest, in the jungle, this kind of works for them. So that is the Starlink apparatus. But of course, there is going to be, I don't know how the companies, they've not heard officially from these companies how they view this thing coming and making its service available to Belize. And what the government and PUC are exactly going to do with this application and whether or not they're going to allow it. But what I did see was an argument going online about, well, the pros and cons of Starlink, and people's opinions varied according to, well, yeah, we need them because our companies here need competition, blah, 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 blah. And then you have some people say, no, this is going to affect these companies. In fact, one of these companies we have, through the government of Belize, we have shares in it. But I have a call. Krem, good morning, WB.
Morning, Mose.
Good morning, sir.
Then on the topic here, we're discussing then and beg to have a different view on another matter, no? But first on that topic, I'm concerned. So Elon Musk is, first, I don't think anybody should be that rich. I mean, and so many other people so poor. And then for they say for him money to spend on space, but just get richer, so obviously they're not for him money. Whatever he give it, they're not for him money, because you only keep the multiply. But, the thing is that Elon Musk is from South Africa. Not the South Africa that took the Israelis to court. It's the South Africa that had Mandela in jail for so many years without cause. So I wouldn't want to be so willing to give up our whole security, because right now everything is run by that kind of technology there. We're going to shut down. Yeah, you see what happened? I think Lebanon was when all the cell phone and started to blow up. These people have that power, and I don't know if it should be even right for them to put any kind of power in any one man hand, in particular a man that comes from that kind of ideology, superiority and whatnot. So I'm just saying I'd be very hesitant about that. The thing I want to offer a different point of view about is the whole issue on the Guatemala thing. But before I get there, let me bring up Sandra Cohen as a voice that's speaking out loudly and with common sense. A plain thing she put out there where they understand. I wish she would always be in that teacher form, and I don't know you allow them to sit to them every time I ask a question where the answer was definitely be correct, because I always hear correct. So I'm saying though that she is boldly stepping out there and condemning this obvious, blatant wrong moves, and stop me when you're ready, because I don't want you feel like go
I don't need that instruction. Just continue.
Wonderful. You don't have to be acrimonious even. But I'm saying,
man, we're not personal, G, Mike. Come on.
All right.
If I book you that road after me and you done through hand the morning, we still not hear one another, my brother. So let the world let the world know that. Let the world know that.
So you're right. All right. So anyway, I'm saying the Guatemalan issue, and Sandra called in, and he actually gave a dire warning, that we in our position, that's very funny. We see what happened in Palestine, the situation of far. They were interesting, paradoxical thing though, because we came from the colonial settlers ourselves. We, the British that came in and then brought in slaves and whatnot, we are the ones who took the land away from the Mayans. Now, we kind of like the city stove on the other side where in this day and age, it cannot be wrong, right? It cannot be condoned for people just to go in and take over this land. And if we were in this position back then, I would have hoped that we would have thought second about rushing in and taking their people land like that and then kill them and all of them. So the situation over there is telling us though that you have a David and a Goliath. And if you want to put it like that, who the David and who the Goliath, and David better hope that God is in his side, on his side there. So I think though that the way forward is be better served with putting better peace and peace. And I said two things about this referendum. So because I've heard how valuable it is to us, we have to understand that, but we got to assert our sovereignty over it. But I wonder how many of us really go down there and even make use of this first seat. And if you ask the bishop open and they livelihood from there, that would not stop. We will have friendly relations with our neighbor. Nobody's going to stop my man from just go out there and fish with. I don't see that at all. I've met many Guatemalans that say, you know what, we love that Belize is a separate country. We got somewhere else to go. Not all Guatemalans are there trying to take Belize and they couldn't care it, but when they stir up the fervor, and sometimes we have to be careful that we are not stirring up the fervor to give them that sense of nationalism with them like one, well, we want to take this guy, it's not theirs.
Yeah, there's a word that describes this particular ideology. It's called appeasement. It's
appeasement. Okay.
Yeah, it's the policy of appeasement.
Yeah.
And again, you have people who believe in that approach. They believe, listen, if somebody bigger, mightier, stronger than me, I don't think I want to be successful by being too exact or by playing hardball. That I have to be pragmatic and I have to see if I can give this big, mightier thing than me something that will calm them down. And
not correct, but
so you're an appeaser, which
no.
You're entitled to that. You're entitled to that. I think can I just finish? So you and I will never, obviously, find any agreement, because it's not that I am any kind of war hawk or anybody that I don't consider myself to be no warrior or no fighter or anything like that. But I think I am able to be influenced by what I have seen, by things that have happened, and I know while it doesn't mean that I will defeat a bigger, mightier enemy than myself by standing up, I'm not one that you can convince that I will get myself out of trouble by giving in to a bully and giving in to aggression. I don't see where it has ever worked. I don't see where people the aggressive or the bullies have ever been satisfied by just being given at least small appeasement. I think history teaches us that that is not.
You're finished before break, though, right, Buster?
Huh?
You're finished before break, right? You said that you're finished, but you didn't go on. G-Mike. I don't know how you handle your podcast, but I'm in the 25th year doing WB, and for all the quarrels you have had with me, the fact that you have been calling since day one and still calling now, it seems you love to hear
you love to hear the nonsense I talk just so that you can get a chance to burn out the nonsense which you disagree with. So you know you are familiar with how I am. So if you don't like how we work, then you just have to do what you do. You got your own podcast. I want express. I allowed you to express yourself.
You don't let me with the word, and that's all I understand. I try to be brief. This is about me and you. This is about the issue. There's an issue, and that's how we look fun, but you spend the time ad hominem and declare what I am and how I am and who I should be. What happened with the issue? The issue is the situation between Guatemala and Belize. Discretion is the better part of valor. You don't go rush headlong into anywhere in the world, and it's not cowardly. And then if you have to approach just to prove that we know the dead, bully me, so I go, what? Bully you? The disparity is too wide. That's what I'm saying. So we need to not be bombastic, if you will, or incendiary in any way, but
I think you have to be. I think you have to be principled, and I think you have to have courage, and I believe that if we are to have the support, remember now, a part of our package of standing firm involves making sure that we maintain a level of collective strength with our allies. And if we are inconsistent, or if we are inadequate or lacking in thoroughness and lacking in clarity, then we jeopardize our allies understanding what we are experiencing. If it is that our allies hear that we are okay, and if our allies are of the belief that we have a teddy bear kind of a claim going on, a kind of more like almost as if though it's a theoretical claim, an academic claim. If our allies are not made aware,
who are these allies?
Well, we are, at least based on what we are told, CARICOM. We find a lot of support in CARICOM. We have relationships with other nations of the South. We have relationship with, say, for example, Cuba. We have relationship with some countries out of the Commonwealth. These are important allies in this issue, and they've always been important. And we have to make sure that there is complete clarity. If the Guatemalans, and they have a right, are projecting an image of themselves as having gone through conversion, they are no longer, they are like, they have moved from Saul to now the Apostle Paul. And that's what they are projecting. You know, we are peaceful people. We are going to settle this matter peacefully. Listen. So you might be convinced by their act, and you have that right. I am saying here that there is something extremely inconsistent with that portrayal of yourself based on the experience that we are having in the Saskatoon. At no point have we come here, at least I have not come here to say, listen, we need to rush down to the Saskatoons gun blazing. What we have demanded fairly and, in my view, logically, is that we shout to the world, listen, don't listen to all of this. Our people are experiencing aggression and hostility every single time.
Have you experienced any of this aggression?
What's that?
Have you experienced any of this aggression? Has a Guatemalan ever been aggressive to you? What's this aggression about?
On a personal level?
Yes.
That's where you have reduced this. I've experienced I have experience. I have experience. I have experience.
That's the only thing you can speak from, Mose.
What? Brother,
Yes.
brother, you knock your head this morning? Listen, we get up, you just don't get up, hold up, you just don't get up this morning.
Right.
And before you jump in, hold on, before you jump,
Speak to the issue. Speak to the issue, Mose.
if you allow me to, if you would quiet, I would. The point is that you got up this morning and before you started to talk about Guatemala, you started to talk about Elon Musk, you started to talk about the fucker where he come from, and you have never met the man. You've never been to South Africa, you have never been in operations there with this man to do anything about him. The reason why you were able to speak about it, is because you've read and because you have listened. So because I have not been on a boat that has been rammed by Guatemalans doesn't mean that I have not seen the video and have not heard the testimony and I'm able to speak on it and to have a position as a result of it. This is completely like. Huh?
And I saw that video. That was no ramming. That was not ramming. Are you kidding me? The man running.
You obviously, G Mike, you obviously a land lover. You never.
No, but you can't tell this whole nation a war stuff.
Who declared the nation a war, brother? That me responsible for the fact that one next nation say that we not entitled to this what we call home. That me caused that? No. We don't talk about. All right, G Mike. I think you're gone far enough to say to try start and war. You're gone far. You're gone very far. Standing up on principle is not starting a war. Only if you're in the face of somebody who is an absolute terrorist who wants to create mayhem for you, is standing up for yourself with rights and proper principles. Is that some kind of warmonger position? So I'm sorry that there are times you say things.
But you continue because you want to turn me, not my argument.
There are times you say things, G Mike, which I have to be honest.
Did you hear the president's speech at the UN? Really? Did you ever listen to it? Or you know why you're not for him? We don't got nothing to do with anything. It's crazy. We have to move and it's stringent.
Okay, G Mike. Okay, G.
Not afraid of grass, not a drop of water.
Okay. So we're prepared for getting. So we're prepared to give them. You okay with you want to get in Toledo?
But why would you go to that extreme?
I ask you if I am asking you. You want me? Do you? Come here with their nonsense. They give respect a chance. I am asking you if in your policy of appeasement, do you have a line that you say, okay, well, we're not going further than that?
Yeah, it has to be line. Yeah,
so we part the line there for you.
All right, but you asked me a question. I'm going to lead into something else. All right, I tell you, yes, I have a line.
What the line there?
What is the next point?
What the line there? I asked you what the line there.
It's certainly not right there right now because right there right now, I don't feel no aggression. I have a lot of.
So once you know the feel no aggression, so you okay if the aggression go all the way up to once you know that give not street. So G Mike, once you know gonna give not you okay. All right, my brother. I see you. Okay. We not gonna have a problem with Guatemala once you know gonna give not in G Mike's view. All right.
But how can you that a silly argument, Mose?
Silly argument. Observation. That observation. I asked you if you have online. You say you have online, and then you proceeded to say once you know the feel it. Once you know the feel it. Did you not, G Mike? Did you not say once you know the feel it, sir?
That might I didn't say that. You misconstrue what I'm saying, and it's unfair, Mose.
G Mike, have a good morning. Have a good morning, sir. Have a good morning, sir. All right, we missed that. Please call back. we're kind of running out of time. Link us back, please, if you want to jump in. The number is 2805848. I might have cut off that incoming call inadvertently. Didn't mean it. Before G Mike took me down that particular, we have a call. Let me just take this call. Krem, good morning, WB.
Good morning, Belize and Belizeans. I could really do without the exchanges there with you and G Mike early that morning.
Okay.
It's Wednesday, and so at the call with an update about United Black Association.
We don't have enough time for the update, sister. If you can call back after 8, because I don't want to have to rush you off. I have a guest coming up after this first break. So, all right, respect. Yeah. Let me just put a wrap on what I wanted to say about Starlink. So before G Mike jumped in and made it about, well, the Guatemala situation and what have you. The matter that the debate about, you're bringing in Starlink, and again, they made an application to the PUC, and so now the PUC is going to decide whether or not they're allowed to operate in the system. Like I said, Starlink is available across the planet. So obviously, most nations have accommodated Starlink, and as G Mike pointed out, like, it's insane that somebody is this rich, and indeed he's extremely rich, and based on the reports and forecasts, he's going to be the planet's first trillionaire, meaning trillion. That is grotesque from the standpoint of it speaks to the fundamental inequality that exists on the planet and all of that. But I know they had to count this man money. So, like I said, fundamentally, there are strategic benefits to having access to that because of its ability to provide internet in remote places and offshore places. And, we have sizable chunks of the country where you do not have access through the present companies. And so, like in the business that we're in, where we, to facilitate remote broadcasts, if we are moving from a space in, say, for example, television, and we wanted to do a broadcast, for example, we do Reef Week, and we go to islands very often and coastal communities, it would be something that works for us. So if we wanted to go somewhere deep inland and do a broadcast, it would work for us. But the argument about protecting and making sure that we are not jeopardizing our internet providers here in the country is an extremely important argument. But let me take this call. Krem, good morning, WB.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I'm here listening to your conversation.
Yes, sir.
Quite intriguing this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Especially Elon Musk part.
Mm-hmm.
Elon Musk, a very wise fellow, a very sharp fellow, very intelligent fellow. I follow him a lot. He got the good and the very bad side. I side up with the super racist. I know big up no super racist man. Even though he's very intelligent, he mind that far ahead of we. Just like the Chinese businessmen they come to Belize, then they're far ahead of the mom and pop stores. Far. We can't compete. Elon Musk can afford to take a very profitable company when we used to name Twitter and run it bankrupt because of his personal feelings. Buy it, bankrupt it because of feelings. You agree with that?
So I don't know if you interpret what I did this morning as I'm big up by Elon Musk, but that's hardly the reason for me bringing up Starlink. I think what I wanted to say, David, is this, very quickly, so then you can go off of that, is that just as how these internet providers, I imagine, are not going to be interested in seeing Elon Musk come and eat their food. This mega rich with all the advantages, all the competitive advantages, coming in and take up some food. We have been complaining, and you know this because you've been on the show and I've made this complaint multiple times. Right now, as we speak, the equivalent of that takes place every single day with corporate Belize flooding social media companies, billion-dollar companies, Facebook, Google, YouTube. The amount of money that is being spent on ads right now on these social media by Belizean money, by Belizean companies, every day, every single day. Okay, cool, you say, that's how the world works. But show me where Facebook, YouTube, Google is spending 1 cent in Belize. And then tell me how on earth, if an advertiser advertises on Creme Radio, XTV, they have to pay 12.5% GST tax. Every single goddamn day, money is spent, credit cards for social media campaigns to Zuckerberg, and he might not be as racist as Elon Musk, but we don't know who he is. Not a dollar spent in this community. All that money that is spent, Dave, not a single penny is paid in for tax here in Belize. So essentially, we have a system that incentivizes the distributing of Belizean money out to billion-dollar companies at the expense of local companies, where if you advertise with us, you have to pay the tax. Just a little simple gesture, again, that not prevent any of them from continuing to put their money into these companies. But God damn it, you can't have two systems at play here. That's the point. So yes, I could understand right now that there are going to be some tears cried for Digi and for Smart, David. And I might even shed a tear for them as well. Ain't nobody shedding a tear for the fact that we have a bunch of money already don't go to similar type of global Goliaths, and they don't even have to pay a tax on it. That was the point that I wanted to make this morning, David.
How the government on taxing?
What's that? How can a company operate in your space, be making money in your space? How did they figure out to make sure that the little person that turned their apartment into an Airbnb have to pay the tax? When the Hotel Association cried, they figured it out, Dave.
That's an exact answer I hope you say. Because where the media go through, a very similar thing where we go through in a tourism, where the government facilitates the big man name with everything free because they want to be the big man and friend. Right now, we got Dark Knight, we don't have no park ranger front on. They pay no tax. And he's free. And I can't confirm it. I can't say that's true. But through the grapevine, and they say, well, that's a stinking man in a government, a part of the organization, and then go and make secret deal, and then they tell the KTV zip line. You know one thing, Belize are a small country, you know? And anything that happens here is dark. That's why I don't do dark business that Belize. I don't do dark business, none at all. Because anytime you think you can wait something that Belize, you come back and fight in your backside. And I challenge Uno as the media, but investigate what I say. When I tell them the very biggest cave tubing site in the Hopcha End, not even 2 miles from it, you got a company named Dark Knight, so they pay no entrance fees, no got no park ranger. I'm pretty sure they're open for business today. They talk about telemedia here, the next one is owned by Channel 5 people in, they give you double up the amount of service so they need to give you in the internet, and they give you double up. And my friend Mr. Lizaraga, I don't know why he did. And I hear for now for at least 3 years. One spell the man used to get up and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. Like the man on the Bob Marley. But ever since they grabbed the helm of BPL, I wanted to lock up the man or the man still near the country. I wanted the man still exist.
Are you Brother Dave? I gotta go to break. Give thanks.
Alright, respect.
Yeah, man. We go to 2 Cents Cam, sponsored by 4 Point Security, and then when we come back from break, we're gonna have a guest in the house. This is Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes. All right, welcome back to the WB Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes. Mose Hyde hosting today, Wednesday, the 23rd of October, 2024. And we're now joined in studio, which is not the fashion anymore. Everything is zoom in. But my brother here said, nah, we're coming in person. President of the Public Service Union, Brother Dean Flowers. Greetings and welcome to the show, brother.
Morning, Brother Mose. Always a pleasure to be here.
All right. I know when you come, you know, he ain't going to be, some kind of walk in the park. We get down to the business, brother.
Yeah, man.
Did you hear the Prime Minister or excerpts of his presentation or from the sitting of the House on Friday dealing with the matter of the Auditor General and the hiring of a new Auditor General? Now, you've been on this show. I don't want to get into the quarrels that you've had with the outgoing Auditor General, at least not as a main part of our conversation. I'm not barring you from expressing some of the sentiments that you've said, but my concern is if you heard the Prime Minister's position. We spoke about it on Monday morning and showed some clips, and of course it's been on the news, our newscast, other newscasts. And I wanted to know if you heard it, and because on Monday I was saying, well, I would expect that the Public Service Union would have some official, formal response to what was said there. So one, did you hear it? And two, if you have, whether or not we can expect something coming from the PSU on it?
Well, I think that in terms of let me answer the first part of the question, sorry. Did I hear it? Certainly. And the comment, of course, from the Prime Minister during the House sitting is no different from his comments a little over 2 years ago. 2 years to the date and some months, the Prime Minister has pretty much said the same thing as it relates to the Office of the Auditor General. I think that I'll go as far as saying that if you do some research on his comments, when we notified him a little over 2 years ago that the former Auditor General tenure was coming to an end, considering she was reaching the retirement age as per the Constitution, he would have said that they are looking for someone, and he would have gone as far as saying that the Cabinet had decided to bring back the former Auditor General for a year. Lo and behold, a couple of weeks after, they would have gone to the House and introduced a motion to bring her back for 2 years. In that comment 2 years ago, he also said, it is with the intent to prepare somebody within that office to take over that office. The ball was dropped. It was dropped by the government. It was dropped by the social partners as well. It was dropped by the JPAC because nothing was put in place to ensure that the Prime Minister followed through. As a matter of fact, if we listen to the Senate, which most of the time, or at least 2 years ago, was very delightful to listen to and very inspiring in terms of the level of the debate. I must criticize and say that that has diminished a bit of late. But if you go back 2 years ago and you listen to what some of the senators said, they would have recognized some of the achievements of the former Auditor General, but they recognize, and I think it was Senator Herrera that said, if there is one thing that he wants to see, is for this office to become functional and for the statements to be brought up to date. And the entire country, again, because it's not only the National Assembly, everybody dropped the ball. And 2 years after, I want to say that the Public Service Union, and not necessarily trying to exclude ourselves from what I think has been a real dereliction of duty in terms of us being participatory in this democracy. But we have consistently commented on that office. And so we've done our part, and we wrote to the Prime Minister 3 months before the expiration of this now expired contract to say to him, you committed to the government of Belize, to the people of Belize, that you would ensure that somebody is trained. There was absolutely no succession plan put in place, Mose. There was no attempt to ensure that the capacity of that entire office was raised to a level whereby we could all feel comfortable as citizens that we will now see that office functioning as it ought to.
Yes, and it's one of the reasons why I feel that you and the PSU. So I don't want it to be misunderstood that when I ask if the PSU is going to put out something on this matter, in any way I'm questioning PSU's leadership on this matter, because I will completely agree. You guys have taken a leadership position on this office to the point that you've gotten yourself involved with. I feel, I have said on the show that it's one of those uncomfortable situations that I've been in. And I have a cordial, respectful relationship with the former president of the Public Service Union, Brother Henry, and he is we've been in touch over a period of time, and so the issue of the people in the office who have been sidelined and are not functioning, you guys have been involved, no doubt about that. I think the point that you made is extremely important, and I made it on Monday. It would have been unsatisfactory, unacceptable for us to be told a couple of years ago, and we were told, we're not got nobody, so the easiest solution is just to say, create a contract with and bring the former Auditor General out. And there was the back and forth. PSU disagreed with this position because you guys have been consistent. You guys do not like that. You don't like that as a practice. And you've made your arguments. But the public was like, better Auditor General than no Auditor General. That seemed to have been our collective position. But how can we accept 2 years after that you bring the same explanation to us? So now that forces what I call this moment of confession. So now we have this moment of confession where it is said to us now, there's no, and again, this is not to say a confession simply because you confess to a thing makes it acceptable. You say, we just hire people based on politics. So the bulk of people where we hired are based on politics, and so we don't have one lot of skilled people. Essentially you're in a way, you're the true one of the boss. A lot of people were present to the work. And then now additionally they say, okay, but, for example, we hire people that maybe don't have no experience, but because of knowing this, if you know this, then you obviously have to be committed to the development and to make sure that, if we know our sins, right? We know where we do wrong. So we know that they're not because you're not aware. You would think that, you would then occupy yourself with trying to have that kind of developmental culture where you're getting people prepared. So we have that aspect of what is being said to us. But from your vantage point, Dean, President of the Public Service Union, you know the people who are in the office of the Auditor General. Are you of the opinion that there's absolutely nobody that has served in that office that because of being in the office and doing it on a daily basis, because you could go and get I said on Monday, you could go and get a accountant, but and they have that, it might have a background in audit and everything, but to work within the mechanism of the bureaucracy, to work within that, to understand that culture, to understand the nuances of auditing government, it's like being involved with it has its natural advantages. Leadership, no, we could train you, while you're there, we could give you courses, but you can't argue against somebody that's been doing this. Like talk to me on that matter, Dean.
I think that's a very, very important point and question that you're raising there, Mose, because as a public service union, part of our collective bargaining agreement is to ensure that people can move up in the service, that people can matriculate into a position of management. And so I had to seriously do my own assessment of the current human resource within that office, keeping in mind that this is something that we would have bargained for. So it is never in our best interest as a union to see people being brought from the outside superseding long-standing public officers. And so I would have queried in terms of the individuals, the senior personnel in that office. And the simple answer to your question is, yes, there would be persons in that office that can assume the leadership of that office. Now, the question will be, what will be the level of support that we would give them as social partners to ensure that their capacity is further built and improved, and for the capacity of the officers in that office to be brought up to a level that it ought to be so that they can properly function. Nobody from the outside is aware of the nuances that these people go through. So I support your view that within that office, it may be best suited for us to identify a competent individual within that office with the requisite years and experience. And if we look at the qualifications as set out in the government's advertisement, it calls for a master's degree in public finance, public sector management, accounting, management studies, economics, public administration, government, human resource management, or business administration and political science. I'm pretty quite sure there are several people within the Office of the Auditor General that would possess one of those area of studies. However, as I stated, the Constitution and the FARA, the Finance and Audit Reform Act, gives a whole lot of authority and power to the Auditor General and the Office of the Auditor General, which were not utilized efficiently and effectively by the former Auditor General. The question is, because of the precedents that she's set, because of the type of culture that she's set, would the people beneath her adopt that same complacency and lack of productivity, I dare say, Mose?
All right, I get it. You still have your positions on the outgoing Auditor General. But speak to me now, because let me ask you this. You mentioned it, so obviously you've answered it, but just to make you flesh out your answer. Enough people didn't care 2 years ago, and it appears to me 2024, after what was said on Friday, based on the kind of silence that I'm hearing, people don't seem to care. And that is shocking, and again, just then what do we expect to have in governance if on a matter this consequential? So all the ink, and fair and respectful, I understand why, all the ink, all the lights, all the cameras, everything, to try to figure out who will end up be the leader of the opposition. Got it. To the point where even their opponents spent a part of Friday lamenting the lack of clarity when it comes to the leader of the opposition and the way it undermines the democracy. And that is an important position, no doubt. But your Auditor General, that's one of the, I feel, top 5 public service positions for the integrity of your nation state finances, resources, and management of those finances and resources. Like a stable, productive, progressing nation state, just like a business, has to be able to track what's going on with its numbers and the utilization of finances and resources. My God, this is standard day one.
Accounting 101.
Basic. And you are telling me now that we should be, I think the system, even if it's ideal, even somebody coming up out of the ranks of the Auditor General should be facing questions to make sure that this individual, you know, like this system does not exist. This comes down now, obviously, we could see it before very eyes. The Prime Minister is going to ultimately decide who's going to be the Auditor General. And that has always been the case. Okay, so that is what we do. But we need to be intimate with that choice-making process, and it has to be one where we are allowed to chime in to say, well, this person here, you know, you pick somebody, but we have on record that this person here may involve in an active political campaign 15 years ago with such and such a candidate. So we want to explain that to because what we need out of that person is somebody who has integrity, character, and strength to be able to say, listen, spade is a spade, I got my job to do and I'm going to do it.
You're perfectly right, and thanks very much for bringing up that point, Mose, and that's why we would have issued a press release on this matter, I believe, when this vacancy came out, to not only condemn what we believe was a deliberate attempt to undermine that office in terms of the selection process, but also to point exactly, to call out on the social partners who ultimately must veto this appointment. The Belizean, and I just want to, if you allow me, I want to go to the Constitution, Belize. And I will try my best to draw how this office impacts the Belizean citizen, each of our daily lives. Because perhaps then people will understand why we're harping so much on this office. Section 109 of the Belize Constitution says that with effect from 2002, there shall be an Auditor General appointed. And it says here, acting on the recommendations of both houses of the National Assembly contained in resolution passed in that behalf. It means then, the Prime Minister can recommend all who he wants. Each and every one of us must hold our area representative accountable if an unsuitable person is appointed. Each of us must hold our senators who ultimately can stop that appointment. And I would have taken the time to listen to Senator Bengushe, Senator Herrera, Senator Smith at the time, Senator Montejo, and of course Senator Courtney. Those were some of the clips that I would have replayed earlier this week to see what was their position when Ms. Bradley was reappointed. And I'm calling them out. And I'm especially the social partners senator, which includes our senator, to ensure that when this matter comes back to them for the appointment, for the permanent appointment of an Auditor General, because we do not support a contractual appointment for an Auditor General. I mean, that's another slap in the face of good governance. So it's the National Assembly, albeit on the recommendation of the Prime Minister, Mose. And now let me get to the functions of that office, Mose. And the functions of that office is vested in the Belize Constitution under Section 120, but also under Part 3, Article 11 of the Finance and Audit Reform Act. And I like the wording in the FARA versus the Constitution because it goes deeper. It says, the Auditor General shall, on behalf of the National Assembly and in such manner as he or she deems necessary, audit the accounts of all accounting officers and of all persons entrusted with the collection, receipt, custody, issue, or payment of public monies, or with the receipt, custody, issue, sale, transfer, delivery of any stamped securities, stores, or any government property of any kind whatsoever, and shall also ascertain whether, and it goes on. The Constitution is little bit more broad, and it speaks to auditing the statements. This means, Mose, that even as we're faced with the challenge of not having annual financial reports or annual financial statements being done by the Accountant General, which, by the way, has been completed with the assistance of IDB. It is my understanding that from I was here, Mose, and I would have said that 5 years of statements were completed with the assistance of the IDB using the IPSA standards, public sector accounting standards. of course, there was no training and development. So it was not presented on the cash basis, which is what the FARA calls for. But it was presented, and the Auditor General, to date, demitted office. We now have an interim Auditor General. I am hoping that the Accountant General, I have not ascertained if she has been able to reissue those statements on a cash basis. But it is important to state that neither the Constitution nor the FARA gives the Auditor General any authority to reject those statements. It says, you present your report on it, you report on it. It's like if I audit Brody's. It is not my duty as external auditor to present the statements. My responsibility as auditor is to issue a statement on whether those statements were prepared and are free from material misstatements. That is my responsibility as auditor. So that's not my job to decide how you present a statement. No. Yes, I can put that in my report, that you presented it based on ipsos rather than on a cash basis. So I think, again, that was an error, but nonetheless, but I just want to dispel that we don't have any financial statements out there. We have. And now let me bring this down to the Belizean people. When this administration took office, they would have passed a motion to grant themselves almost $1 million monthly in what is known as Social Community Development Fund. What's the word? Community vote. Each, or the vast majority would get, I believe, $20,000, $30,000 a month. And that is to help their constituency, the people within their constituency. It goes into their personal bank account. And when that motion was passed, the Prime Minister said, well, oh, they're not just want to get the money, we audit it. We're now 4 years, going on 5 years, and nobody is ascertaining that those area reps are in fact utilizing money that we allow them to appropriate in our name to help with the improvement of people's lives. And that is where this office would have been able to say money is going to the account of Minister X, and he has not utilized that, not even to have one constituency office, much less help the people. We are appropriating $1.6 billion, B. And nobody is ensuring that in accordance with the Constitution and the Finance and Audit Reform Act, that those monies are actually being spent on what they were appropriated for. And when that happens, Mose, we will continue to complain about the high cost of living, the high cost of fuel, the difficulty with sending our children to school and putting food on the table. And don't let for one moment the Prime Minister say that they're unable to hire more people in the office of the Prime Minister. He admitted that, then just hire people without any qualification. And don't let the Prime Minister say that they're unable to pay the Auditor General. They cannot pay the Auditor General more. And he said this in this house, that the nonsense that the salary is on pay scale 26. In accordance with the Constitution, the Constitution says under section 118 says, there shall be paid to the holders of the offices to which this section applies such salaries and such allowances as may be prescribed under a law enacted by the National Assembly. The National Assembly can properly reward the Auditor General, similarly like a judge in the Supreme Court, to manage 1.6 so that he could do his job, man.
Got freedom.
Yes.
But listen to me. King, when we come back, point is, let me get this before we go to break. But I gotta go to break. But essentially, obviously, I don't know how anybody within that office can apply for the position of Auditor General, because essentially, the main person who is going to choose someone to recommend has already gone and said, we have to look outside. I mean, that's, so, you don't go on. You have somebody to act, which means that the person with the act really and truly is not ready to do it. Yeah. No, that means, so we have an interim person to do it, but there is somebody who's doing it presently until they find somebody, when they say that by the end of the year, will not exactly have the credentials and qualifications to be able to do this job. That in itself, one, the indictment of that person unfairly, because I don't know how I can act to do a job, but then I'm not able to do the job. That I don't know, right?
Yeah.
No, you could say, well, I want one more, I got somebody who could play point guard, but I want a better point guard. I want one striker. You be my striker right now and look for a better striker. But the point of the matter is right now that you go get the goals, and you're good enough to be able to do that. Yeah. So, again, the fact that that person, in my view, the department essentially has been disparaged. Is the PSU of the position that there are qualified people there? You have laid out the point that you don't feel like the culture has been enabling. That's your criticism. But that still doesn't speak to competence of the individuals potentially to be able to, some people, no job. You're the president of the public service union and a talk show host. None of us start day one being the best version of ourselves. Yeah. We become better just by being involved with it. Yes. Right? So, do you have a position on the available talent right now as we speak within that office?
As I stated, Mose, within that office there are people who are qualified to...
That sounds like no, Dean. That sounds like no.
No, because I think that two things I want to say. The Prime Minister said that persons within that office who believe that they have the qualification and competency are free to apply. He did say that in his comment, so we give him that. And in terms of my own assessment of the office, there are persons more senior in terms of experience, as well as with the requisite qualification than the current individual who is acting.
Who's the intern?
Yes. As a matter of fact, we will not I will not speak of any the character of the current holder of the office, other than to say she was the deputy. She was not the most senior deputy, but she was a deputy. And we need to have somebody hold over until somebody is permanently appointed. I will also say that if you look at the history of the staff profile of the office, there are other officers with master's degree, with much more years of experience, and furthermore, with more solid audits under their belt. So there are people in there, Mose.
We'll take a break and come back, Lee. back to the WUB Vehicle Believes Morning Vibes. Mose, Hyde in the house with you on this Wednesday morning, 23rd October 2024. My guest this morning is the President of the Public Service Union, Brother Dean Flowers, talking about the lack of available talent for the position of Auditor General within the Auditor General's office, at least as described by the Prime Minister of Belize on Friday in the sitting of the House. Now, you mentioned a thing about the deputy as compared to other people that are in the department, and I'll say this. Our expectations when the commissioner retires, I'm not trying to retire Commissioner Williams, I'm going to get involved with that, but all good things come to an end, right? At some point in time, that time coming. Our expectation is that the person who will become commissioner is somebody who is presently a deputy commissioner. But for sure what we don't expect is that when that time comes that we are going to be told, well, nobody with there right now we don't feel could become the commissioner. If such a thing were to happen, you would again a lot of outcry that where they go on, yeah. So we try to say about then people will spend their years, they come up in the police department. We try to say about the deputy. How did you become qualified? One of the natural criteria of becoming the deputy of anything is that you are capable of being a thing. You can't be the deputy manager or once you are the deputy, it's because if something happens, even in a beauty pageant. Yeah. One of the roles of being the first one up is in the event if the reigning queen is unable to fulfill in term for the wedding, you could step right in and get the job done. Yeah. So now how can you say to me then you're essentially saying that this Auditor General's office is full of people who don't have no ability because we can't even have one deputy who could become the head. Yeah. And now you are saying to me is that well not even the position of the deputy is featuring the most qualified person. Now that's rough, Dean.
Yeah, well, that's what the Prime Minister suggested.
You are saying to me that...
I am saying...
You said just now, before we went to break, you said... I didn't make that up.
No, in terms of... No, but I want to ensure that we're clear in terms of what I'm saying. The Prime Minister would have said there is no one in there. I have said, based on the qualifications set out in the advertisement, there are people within the office that meet the criteria to be appointed.
Yes, but I don't hear you rallying for the deputy.
I've also said that within that office, beside the deputy or deputies, there are others who meet the criteria with much more years of experience in audits. I am also saying to you that the history of that office has not been one that even the persons within that office are comfortable with as it relates to the elevation of the deputy, the current acting. And so if you look at the historical employment records, you will see that people in that office with master's degree, with much more years of experience, were superseded.
So we have the case of what is happening, I think, in the police department where you have an officer taking the matter to court to say, listen, I am... So we have that, which I think is really... I commented on that when that occurs, like that a really serious situation and must really have an impact on morale. Like, you can't pretty that up to me. The problem of ascension, the problem of moving up on merit, and the whole compounded by the fact that with the advent of the CEO, that your peak has been taken down. You can't get to the mountaintop. no longer permanent secretary. So persons who spend their time in there will never ever be the boss, at least unless they come out and become aligned politically and become trusted by the political directorate, and then you can now come back as a CEO. But that's the only way. You don't rise through the ranks as ones. So the impact on all of this, on just the motivation and the morale of the public service overall, do you feel that that's a legitimate issue?
It's a legitimate issue, and it's unfortunate because the Ministry of Public Service becomes very selective, and the cabinet becomes selective in terms of which head of department position they would put to advertisement versus which people would be moved to allow to matriculate. This is one such position. But what I believe should happen as it relates to this position is that the JPAC must take their role serious. The chair of the JPAC need to understand that she has a very important role to play, and she needs to ensure that the JPAC have a say on who becomes the next Auditor General, even if it means that they must participate in the interviewing process. There are people within that office that the JPAC need to start speaking to. Perhaps that should be a start. Visit the office, speak with the senior officers who meet the criteria, and select the best suited person and give her the requisite support so that he or she can display the kind of testicular fortitude to go into government offices and ministries and perform the audits that we need them to do to expose the massive corruption that is plaguing the public service.
What kind of learning curve do you think for someone who doesn't have any familiarity with that terrain, even if they have the qualifications, got the degrees, been involved in accounting and all of that? What type of learning curve you believe you're looking at for somebody to, legitimately be at an acceptable level of performance?
Within or?
Within. So if you get somebody from outside, okay, that doesn't have the experience of doing the work within the Auditor General office and what's going on there, do you think it's significant? Let me take this call before you answer this question. I want to, good morning, WB.
Morning, Mose. Morning to you, Sister Yaya. Just two things I want to point out. One, that in consistent Auditor General reports, the recommendation has been that it needs to be an independent entity. As long as the state has to say so in the budget, who gets hired, my point is these issues are systemic issues. I have been working as an advocate for the people first consistently since December 2013. JPAC was not designed to work. The majority of the people, as you would know, Dean, are of this political party. No political party, I want the opposition to this, that is the same thing. No, I don't want to check the public purse for 5 days after they do this. So the systems weren't designed to work, and in that way, the systems are working perfectly. We expect, because every time the public money gets misspent or stolen, that we quality of life get worse around. We talk about for 2 years, we like to get worse around. This is one of the primary reasons why. So it no matter, and it's good that we have these conversations, because I feel strongly that the more knowledge people have, the more people start to make sense when they see the news stories, they start to think about their life and the quality of life where they have, to understand that the system of government, the system of law, the system of education, these are instruments that we get from the colonizers. The people that were operating around me just look like we, and just like we did, deeply mentally enslaved. So we have to start to talk to the power. I was talking, like, we have to get to the root of the matter. Because the system never designed to work, even with credible people. We could expect limited outcomes. And I don't mean this in a no bad way when I said it. I just say what the street they say, or what I say. That under this administration, more and more in our ministry ministries and departments, you'll see people who are identifiable African descent and black. More up, and the way you have people in the ministries and the Senate, the way you have people on the road, they say. And so they're not only political alliance, having the certification, having the years of experience. Your ethnicity also has something to do with it, and that this administration is what the observed experience is. So we don't like talk about things, but then things is real. And so we just really want to drive home then 2 points that the system in of themselves never designed to work. So that really take part in a circus, and I understand have the solution. One thing I offer is that we need to study and learn these systems, how they work, and either company that believes. Because before we solve a problem, we really have to analyze it adequately. And not looking at, that's what decolonization would be. Decolonization would be a take what the colonizers, European enslavers, what I mean of their interest and other people of the country interest, and then the people of the country go through their own self-examination. And so what would I work best to we collectively as a people? I know it says, as you said, demographics to change or has changed over a period of time. So I really would I want we go deeper and look for solutions for systemic matters, and that we have to study together. So when we speak for a position of evidence, of knowledge, of courage, and not stop. If you just say for one thing and do it, next year I want election year, and I keep this to people. We might make joke out of it, right? So small way get one load of sand. No, yeah, but I say we as community people, yeah, a load of sand, we might get a job somewhere. You know what they want. So I say during this election year, start to link our needs, our interests. So none of the people want to say the interest. Start to link it to you want I vote for you before I vote for you. Because this administration people think like we are going to worry about. We that's a short thing we to get 14 again. We don't got nothing to worry about. The leisure people, we know the situation because of we the people. That's like a we. So if we are telling the truth, we have to blame ourselves because we keep the vote then saying what is what the people over and over again. So again, I appreciate the knowledge of the share because I have big part learning. I just don't want to go leave deeper and look at have the colonized conversation.
Yeah. Before you go,
yes.
if I may, how would you interpret? Because like yourself, I am trying to empower myself with knowledge. But how would you interpret the Belize Constitution, which is the supreme law, under Section 1? Let me go there quickly, Mose. 127. 127 says.
I feel like you hijacked me, surely, but go ahead. It's just a jovial job, my sister.
Yeah. So 127 says, in the exercise of his or her functions, under subsection 2, 3, 4, and 5 of this section, the Auditor General shall not be subject to the direction or control of any person or authority. It then goes on to say that he or she can go into any office, shut it down, demand. Under the Finance and Audit Reform Act, Section 13.3, in the exercise of his or her duties under this act, the Auditor General shall not be subject to the direction or control of any authority, and it could summon anybody and call in the police and report anything. How do you interpret that when you speak of independence or versus independence?
I know the claim for being no expert on the law, because we know they have enough law with some good in a black and white. But enforcement, implementation, they want totally different things. And so I said, just listening to it on the surface, just listening to it, so I'm like, well, they don't got the independence what I need, so why did I make additional recommendation? No, I know the former Auditor General and her team, because we tend to focus quite a bit on the Auditor General, and the former Auditor General couldn't do what he did without the team of people that she worked with, regardless of differences that they may have. That they don't may get their recommendation consistently, and their recommendation independence. Now, I traveled as a general to, let's say, to Honduras, and they have a whole court system was different. So one thing for in the law, and another thing for to have the finance, the resources, the mechanism to really give it. You hear me? So you know what you well I will think you are to know what somebody do today. That's a real part. And one thing for the law today, but another thing for this substance. Anyway, let us go. All of the people are saying the people thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a very important exchange you had there. I hope, Sister, I don't feel like I was being serious. It's a very important exchange and a very necessary question, but let me take the call. I'll pause on my observation. WUB, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Mose.
Yes.
Mr. Flowers, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, Mr. Flowers, Mr. Flowers is my favorite person in relation to being president of PSU. He's intelligent, courageous, articulate, and that combination, I think, is very, very needed. To the issue of the qualification aspect of a post, and certainly the post in general, it's a very powerful post because in theory it should be independent, and in practice there should be no difference between theory and practice, but in practice there is. And so as you talk about qualification, normally when you look at the public service, you see the ad, the vacancy ad says certain things. You need certain academic qualification and perhaps experience. I would like to think that certainly in the Auditor General's office, and I think Mr. Flowers may have hinted at this, that there are people in there that would meet the qualification as we see it. It seems to me that a part of the conversation was that somebody at the head of the political street may be hinting that the requirement is not there. And this has to be examined very, very carefully because there is the stated job requirement and then there's the unstated job requirement. The public service has its own culture. And that culture, certain aspect of that culture is not necessarily useful and constructive and productive. There's also the political requirement, which is unstated. And when you hear somebody say that the talent might not be resident and or readily available, you know what that is in my view? That is code for we want to bring in one of we own people. That is code for saying, you know what? Here goes politics again. And I'm saying this because it's regrettable and it's regretful because when you bring in somebody on the political coattails, that person generally has an obligation not to rock the boat philosophically. And so, in a sense, you can't even expect that that person will do his or her job. Me personally, I'm an independent-minded person. One, two, I got in the service in 1987 when the service, to a large extent, relatively speaking, was based on merit, professional merit, ethical merit. But that is not so anymore. Now for you to get a job, and especially a senior job in the force, in the service, you have to cut political muster. And I think that unless and until we realize that politics is destroying the service, this will continue. More's not going to take control of your show. Let me
I gotta go to break. That's all, brother. Give thanks. I wasn't. It's fine.
Yeah.
I don't think I had planned to have you here for until 9, but now we might as well get back in on the last segment there, Dean. We take a break, come back. All right, we're back. This is WUB Baker Belize Morning Vibes. This morning we're talking with President of the Public Service Union, Dean Flowers, interesting conversation. Primarily talking about the vacancy that now exists in the for Auditor General of the country. One of the, again, as I put it, one of the top 5 positions that ensures stable, accountable governance of nation state. The commissioner watches the safety and security of the public. The Auditor General watches the proper management of your money. Is that a watchman or a watchwoman for your money? So if you don't understand it any other way, we have to put it in a day term. These are the watchdog for your money, point blank. And in our way, the way the system designed, this is where we got the people where we want to watch where they do the money, ultimately get to choose who want to be the watchdog. Right? That part of the inbuilt problem with it. So even though, Brother Dean, you described the great authority that the Constitution enables, to get in at the gate, right? So for example, the US, to become a Supreme Court justice, when you get there, you have a lifetime appointment and whatnot, and you could vote how you want to vote, but you've been processed coming up with part that the politician is select, and then you'll have some problems with that. That they come to the open as to how they are compromised at the highest level. Because human nature and human nature. So you have the authority, but how I get you, and human beings being human beings, when you choose me, that remarkable individual is not going to be affected by that. Like, but you recommend me. Yes, I'm a good person. Yes, I'm a professional. Yes, I'm integrity. I got integrity and whatnot, but it takes a remarkable, outstanding individual to tell you, well, you pick me on number one, you know. If I have to chop off your head when you do wrong, I will chop off your head, point blank. Because human beings are human beings. But besides that, we do understand on the flip side of that, then people will look for people when they feel manageable. That in nature. So even though when you describe the, and then remember, I have to depend upon you for the money. So the Constitution says, I do what I want, haul upon who I want, shut down who I want, shut down, take anything from anybody at any point in time, but for pay my bills, I will have to come to you. That the Constitution give it and take it. It give me the authority, but then it limit me because I still need the money. I still get a pay for you, and you could still play games with that. So that I just want to throw in there between the conversation that you and Sister Yaya had. That yes, we need to have the Constitution say that, but we also have to be proactively to see how they undermine the exact thing the Constitution is trying to give by the systems that we got in place. How we choose them, where the power are the social partners to be involved and have the majority say. Just like how we feel that the social partners will have the majority say on who for the Integrity Commission. You create an Integrity Commission, and essentially it is the people who serve on it are chosen by the politicians. So it's like, so we have to get rid of this, the mirage, right? It's something look like it legit, but on the neat ways, that same power it projects that you have is being undermined. So I think that what we really should be lobbying for is, and it's logical and intelligent, it should be a thing where they could recommend, and I don't know if the way the Senate works, if you said the Senate has the ability to block it, and we hope that the Senate understands that role, and again, You have said that you have to hold these people accountable.
Yeah. It starts with each of us the most. And so I wish the current interim holder of that office success in the 4 months that she'll be there in trying to build back morale, in trying to be more inclusive, and in resolving the age-old grievance with some of these officers. She now has that authority. So she will demonstrate her leadership within these 4 years for consideration, perhaps 4 months, sorry, and going forward. But each Belizeans out there, you spoke to the Integrity Commission. Those persons also, I, Dean Flowers, must hold myself accountable. And so while the system might not be built for the effective functioning of the Integrity Commission, the effective functioning of the Office of the Auditor General, what is much more lacking is the ownership that none of these appointees are taking for the responsibility that has been given to them. And that's why I will repeat, shame on the previous Integrity Commission, shame on the current Integrity, because they have not taken ownership for the responsibility that is given to them. They want the credit, they want the stipend or whatever they might be getting, but they don't want to take ownership. So they have to take responsibility, and whosoever ultimately is appointed must also take ownership, similar to how I want to be held accountable for everything I do, Mose, and I challenge the Belizean people to hold me accountable. But equally, we can't just want the praise, and we don't want to take ownership for the great responsibility that each one of us hold. And Belize, certain recommendations will be presented to you, to the Prime Minister, on the 14th of November by the People's Constitutional Committee. There will be recommendations that affects the Office of the Auditor General to hopefully create a more independent selection of that office. Hopefully what we'll see in that recommendation is for the Auditor General to have her own finances separate, perhaps overseen by the Integrity Commission, so that she does not need to come to the Financial Secretary for resources. So these are things that we still have an opportunity to weigh in on. We need to remove this segregation, the discrimination of public officers within the public service, open vote, PE, which creates the influx of unqualified persons, the influx of persons who come there simply to hold a job rather than do a job. The Prime Minister alluded to that as well. We have a say via the PCC to fix these commission modes, and I hope that we will do that.
Final call, we're low on time, but take this last call. Krem, good morning, WB.
Madam Mose.
Yes, sir.
Sorry to call this late, but it is quick.
Yes,
this
sir.
is a public service.
Yes, sir.
Madam Mose, every day we listen to the news, and every day we hear one motorcycle, and then when you see this...
Why you want to call me a motorcycle? I spend whole morning already calling me to talk about motorbike, and you never want to talk about it. Then none of day with my brothers and guests that know you want to call me 3 minutes before 9 o'clock to talk about motorbike. Can you please call me tomorrow morning when we got ample time to get into the matter?
I'll call back, Mose.
But quickly, what I want to say, who are the problem and who needs to fix it?
Well, I think we need to show the graphicness of this move on the TV. Maybe that will help. Well, I'm not saying that it only help, because I saw the picture, somebody took a picture of how the guy looked. I mean, if that does stop these people, I don't know where I'll stop them. You understand me?
We have flesh it out. We have flesh it out for another morning. Since it looks like I want to get regular calls for you, like how right now you are being boycotted by your favorite show. So. All right, brother. Yes, finish up.
Yes, my final thoughts, Mose, is that I want to call on the Minister of Public Service, who also oversees the Good Governance Office. On Monday, we launched the month of Good Governance Month. On Thursday, the U.S. Embassy is hoping the launch of another accountability and transparency type of platform. But take responsibility, Honorable Minister of Public Service. for what you are doing in the public service, which is not helping to make it better. Take responsibility, CEO in the Ministry of Public Service, who continues to refuse to take responsibility for his decision. Yesterday, I would have been on a radio station last week, and I would have pointed out some of the mismanagement, some of the corruption in terms of the human resources, how we appoint people, how we promote people. Just yesterday, another policy decision with regards to allowances. You are discriminating against public officers when you have the domestics, the domestics, Mose. And if you look at this memo, which is damning, it says that there's a serious safety issue as to the exposure of hazardous and infectious chemicals waste, which is being handled by the following staff. You're discriminating against these people when you refuse to convene the Joint Staff Relations Council meeting, of which I am a part, for us to help these people, but yet, because you have preference in certain line ministries, you pass one memo issuing allowances to pilots. You have hundreds of domestics, but you only have 3-4 pilots, but because of the relationship there, you are on the broke the principles of collective bargaining to address specific people. You will give BDF jungle and maritime allowances and bush allowances in the amount of $75 per month, Mose, when the compendium is already saying that these people should be receiving $200. Other public officers are receiving $200 in accordance with the compendium. The discriminatory practices of the CEO in the Ministry of Public Service, and the minister has to stop. They're undermining the good governance that we desire, that we want, and I'm asking them to also be mature about it. This is not bringing you down. This is constructive criticism of the wrong that you're doing and the hypocrisy with which you are governing. Be mature about it. Yesterday, the CEO of the Ministry of Public Service boycotted the grievance committee meeting. Whenever I call him out, he boycotts meeting. I can't meet him on. So he is behaving similar to Peter Allen. And he should know better. Because I have enough respect for the CEO in the Ministry of Public Service, and enough respect for the Minister of Public Service, because they are genuine people when you speak to them. But their actions, brother, I don't like dealing with snake. And that's why I say, hold me accountable. So anytime you see Dean Flowers' tongue split, call out. Because I will call you out. I am not indebted to any red, green, blue, none. And when I see, I got kids that I want to fight for till I dead. And so, CEO, minister, as long as I got breath, you will be called out. And I ask for you guys to grow up, mature, accept the criticism, effect social dialogue as mandated by the Constitution, the regulations, and the collective bargaining, and let us together try to help the public service. So I had to throw that in there.
Dime for really, I greatly respect and publicly endorse and applaud the clarity with which you communicate, the work that you do. You invest in making sure that you're always prepared, always providing a lot of black and white. I've never had you on the show and you've not really been on your ear game. But I think of all the qualities that I applaud, I am very cognizant of the kind of courage that it takes to consistently speak so clearly and so unafraidly to powerful people. And we cannot take it for granted. And there comes a time when you have to, in the words of I can't remember, brother saying, no wait for the man dead for till I go to a brother from the north, from Orange Walk, Lucio.
Lucio
and the new generation. Yeah, brother, give thanks. I'm really always impressed. The work and the battle continues.
Thanks, Mose. Thanks, Belize. Good morning.
All right, we go to a final break, come back and wrap. All right, welcome back to the WB Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes. We're done for today. Went a little bit over time, but we're getting out of here, Larry. So no stress, no sweat, don't distress. I hope you guys have a great Wednesday. Tomorrow morning, Brother Noor Muhammad is going to join you at 6:30 for the Thursday morning Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes. We got to give salute to the crew, Larry G at Creme Radio at XTV, the glue, Mr. Cliff Lewis, and our director this morning, Ms. Krista Flowers. As always, stand strong, stand firm. For now, we're gone!
Another day is here. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. We gotta keep moving. Na 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 na. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Everybody gotta put their time in. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Voice our opinion and place your calling. WB. Be yourself, see yourself. This is a show by people. Belize our hopes up to needless reason. Nobody feel left out. It's the vibe with the